Every top performer has a common cornerstone that empowers them to create big results in their business. I'll be back in 20 seconds to tell you what that cornerstone is. Stick around. Okay, welcome gamers to preseason training day 8 in the extraordinary game of entrepreneurship and how to play it. My name is Chris White. I am the game master, and my role in the game today is mission critical. And that role is to disrupt your thinking in order to empower you to live outside your phone booth so that you can share your extraordinary with the world. Now, if you're joining us for the first time today, you may be thinking to yourself, what the heck does the phone booth have to do with anything? Well, just ask yourself this question. What would have happened had Superman never gotten out of the phone booth? I mean, quite literally, what would have happened? Exactly. Nothing would have happened. And that's why living outside of your phone booth every day is priority number 1. So my friend, if you're ready, then I'm ready. Game on. All right, gamers, today I want to talk to you about the cornerstone of high performance. And here's what I want to start out with. If you don't know where you're going, guess where you'll end up? Someplace else, right? Well, today is preseason training day 8, and today we're talking about the cornerstone of the Game Changers grid. And that cornerstone is goals. Okay, so this is the next step in the execution process on your way to becoming someone who gets to breathe the rare air of the top 1%. The great Andrew Carnegie once said, if you want to be happy, set a goal that commands your thoughts, that liberates your energy, and that inspires your hopes. And that's what we're going to do today. Set the goals for your execution plan during this next season that we are about to play together inside of your business. Now, what scientists have told us is that our brain is quite literally a goal-seeking mechanism. Okay, so whatever goal you give to your subconscious mind, it will work night and day to help you achieve it. Okay, so let me tell you the 3 things that will surface the minute that you set your goals. These are 3 things you want to be mindful of. You want to have awareness around that are going to surface in your life the minute you make the commitment to start setting goals consistently in your business. And the first one is what we call mental traps. Okay, these are all of the reasons why the goal is impossible or why you shouldn't attempt it. Okay, we always talk about the reality that your thinking is going to drive everything that happens in your business, whether positive or negative. And so these are where the mental traps come in, right? This is where you have that negative self-talk, limiting beliefs show up. You start to self-sabotage. You start telling yourself all of the reasons why you shouldn't attempt this goal. Okay, so you got to be mindful of mental traps. The second reality that's going to surface when you start to set goals is that the fears are going to show up in your life, right? We could also say the feelings, okay? Feelings of fear are going to show up, right? Like, what's going to happen if I achieve this goal and I fail? Oh my gosh, everyone's going to think I'm a failure, right? And we all know how powerful feelings are. Feelings are the linchpin of high performance because if you think about it, your feelings are going to drive your actions, and your actions always lead to your results. So we've got to take your feelings very, very seriously. And then the third thing that's going to show up are roadblocks. Now, roadblocks are the external circumstances, things outside of you, for example, not having enough money. External circumstance, not having enough time, maybe dealing with a spouse who doesn't support you, or friends or family members who are toxic, who are lack-minded thinkers, who like to play small in the world, and who are trying to project their philosophy of life onto you. That's what we call roadblocks. Okay, so here's what I want to encourage you to do from this point forward, and you may even want to draw a picture of this inside of your playbook. What I want to encourage you to do from this point forward is to start seeing all green lights from this point forward. Now, here's the irony. With the 3 realities that I just shared are going to show up for you. Mental traps, fears, and roadblocks. Here's the irony. If these things don't appear, don't count yourself lucky. If these things don't appear, don't count yourself lucky, okay? Because what it means is you're not setting your goals big enough. What I'm trying to say here is these things are completely normal. The mental traps, the fears and the feelings that we wrestle with and the roadblocks, these things are completely normal, especially when you're setting big goals. And that's what we want to strive for. Now, why do you need to hear this message today? Here's why. Goals are going to create opportunities for growth. Goals are going to create opportunities for self-development. Okay? And here's what we know. If you're not growing, then guess what? You're dying. If you're not growing, you're dying. You can only grow through discomfort. Right? You can only grow through discomfort. So what I want you to imagine is that your goal is the bridge between your vision and your execution plan. You know, in Training Day 5, we talked about the importance of your vision. So I want you to imagine you've created this vision, and you should have that vision written down in your playbook now. You've got the vision. The goal is going to be the bridge over to the vision. Okay, now here's what you need to do. I want to encourage you to get your playbook out today and to write your goals for this season that we're about to play together here starting next week. I want you to write your goals in your playbook. Now, let me give you some guidelines that high performers follow when they sit down to create their goals. Okay, let me give you a couple key guidelines. The first one is you must write your goals out. Okay, we talked about the power of putting, pen to paper, how the mind is connected to the hand, and your hand is literally like, I asked you to imagine sparks flying off the paper as you are writing in your playbook. So it's very important. You must write your goals out. And I'm encouraging you to write your goals out in your playbook, not on your computer. There's something different that happens when you're typing versus actually writing. So write your goals out in your playbook, number one. Number two, your goals should be a realistic stretch for you. A realistic stretch. So we want you to stretch. We want you to challenge yourself. We want you to introduce tension into your life through your goals. But we use the word realistic because if you don't believe the goal is possible to achieve, then you're not going to achieve it. If you go in with the mindset of, I'm just creating this big goal because Chris told me to create a big goal, but you don't really believe it, that's going to be very disempowering. So do I want you to create big goals? Absolutely. Do I want you to challenge yourself to think bigger? Absolutely. Do I want you to create goals that are so big that they're actually introducing tension into your life? Absolutely. I want you to get right up to that point where you're kind of teetering between, is this realistic or not? I want you to get there, and I want that to be your goal. Okay, that's tip number two. Number three is your goal should also be realistic so that you don't discourage yourself. You want to wake up every day believing, empowering yourself to pursue this goal that you've got inside of your playbook. Okay. Another tip is your goal should be time bound within this 12-week season that we're going to be playing together. Okay. It's got to be time bound. Okay. Now what that means is you're typically only going to be looking at 1 to 3 goals. Okay, we're looking at 1 to 3 big goals we're going to be focused on achieving over the next 12 weeks. So you want to ask yourself, when I achieve this goal, or these 2 goals, or these 3 goals, I think 3 goals is probably the max. When I achieve these goals over the next 12 weeks, am I getting closer to my vision? Am I creating the results in my business that I want to create? Are these the money-making activities that are going to push the needle big time forward into my business? If the answer is yes, then that's one of your goals. Okay. Now here's 2 ways to ensure a goal unleashes the power of your subconscious mind. Okay. And this is something you want to write down in your playbook. How much and by when? If you want to unleash the power of your subconscious mind, you have to tell your subconscious how much and by when. So you want to state in a way that you and anybody else can measure it. If you were to tell me your goal, I would be able to measure it for you. So here's an example. Don't say that I will grow my business by $10,000. Instead say, my business will generate a minimum of $10,000 between now and 6 p.m. on Sunday, July 24th. Be as specific as possible because vague goals will produce what? Vague goals will produce vague results. Now, the difference between a goal and a good idea is what? Its ability to be measured. Your goals got to be measurable. Let me give you an example. You might say, I would like to own a nice home in the mountains, right? That's a good idea. That's not a goal because you can't measure it. Instead say, I will own a 5,000 square foot house in Vail, Colorado by 6 p.m. on Sunday, July 24th. That goal can be measured. The next thing I want to encourage you to do after you've got your goals down, I want to encourage you to reread your goals at least in the morning and at night, every single day during the season, right? Because remember, we are living in the now. We are living in the moment. We are measuring, we are playing the game on a daily and a weekly basis. Every moment counts. So you want to reread your goals in the morning and at night. Okay? Say them with enthusiasm and belief. You know, what I like to do is I like to go on prayer walks in the morning and I like to talk to myself. If you were watching me, if you were in a car and you drove by me on a prayer walk, you'd think I was crazy because I'm talking to myself. But what I'm doing is I'm saying my goals with belief and with enthusiasm. And what that does is it activates your desire. That's the power of saying your goals with belief and enthusiasm. Now you might be wondering, okay, great. What's the big whoop of activating my desire? Well, desire, as Napoleon Hill writes in his timeless classic Think and Go Rich, is the starting point of all achievement. Okay? What desire is going to do when you say your goals with this enthusiasm and this belief, right? And you activate that desire, what you're doing, which is very, very powerful inside of your subconscious mind, is you are introducing structural tension into the brain. You're willingly, purposefully introducing structural tension into the brain. And guess what? Your subconscious mind does not like structural tension. So what will your subconscious mind want to do? Your subconscious mind will want to close the gap between your current reality and the vision of your goal. And this is a good thing. This is what you want. This is the environment you want to create in your mind. You want to create that structural tension. Okay? By stating your goal as though it's already achieved, you will increase structural tension because your brain will go into this cognitive state of dissonance where it's like your conscious mind will say, wait a minute, that's not true. And your subconscious mind doesn't have the ability to determine what's true and what's not. And your subconscious mind will just start to go to work on it. And your conscious mind will be like, wait a minute, there's all this tension and your brain wants to get out of tension. Okay, so when you increase structural tension, what you're also increasing is motivation. That's a good thing, right? You're stimulating your creativity, right? You're starting to spark and fire up your creativity because remember, your subconscious mind wants to solve this structural tension, so it kicks in the creative juices. You're going to heighten your awareness of resources that can help you achieve your goal. There's a lot of powerful, powerful benefits that come from introducing structural tension into your brain. How do you do that? You state your goals every morning and every night with enthusiasm and belief. Very powerful, my friend. Don't skip that step. Okay, so here's what you need to do. Here's why you really need to do these things that I just said you need to do. Here's why, and there's really two main reasons. Okay, goals will require you to do what? When you put a stake in the ground, when you plant your flag on a goal, what is that going to require you to do if you follow the guidelines we're talking about? It's going to require you to overcome adversity. Okay? Now, what's the benefit of overcoming adversity? The benefit of overcoming is who you become. The benefit of overcoming is who you become. And so, to achieve a big goal, you will have to become a bigger person. You will have to overcome adversity and you will have to become a bigger person. Okay, number one. Number two, you can never lose mastery. You can never lose mastery. And guess what? The marketplace loves mastery. The marketplace pays for mastery. What we know is that money doesn't lead, money follows value. And guess what mastery is? Mastery is value. And I love what Jim Rohn says on the topic of goals when he says, you want to set a goal that is big enough that in the process of achieving it, you become someone worth becoming. Don't you just love that thought? Let me close my thoughts today on goals with a story of Jim Carrey. Perhaps you've heard this story, but as the story goes, when Jim Carrey, one of the greatest actors of all time, was struggling, when we didn't even know who he was, he tells the story about how he used to drive, he used to get in his car and drive Mulholland Drive. And as he was doing this drive, he would visualize directors respecting him. And he would visualize the things that he wanted coming to him. Okay, now remember, he had nothing at the time. Okay, he had nothing at the time, but what this activity did, was it made him feel better. Okay, and we've already talked about the power of your feelings. Jim Carrey understood very well the power, the significance of feelings inside of goal achievement. Okay, so Jim Carrey took it one step further, and what he did was he wrote himself a check for $10 million. For acting services rendered. He actually wrote this on the check, $10 million. And then in the note, he put for acting services rendered. And then he gave himself 3 years and he dated the check Thanksgiving in 1995. And then he put it in his wallet and he kept it there and he looked at it frequently, okay, to visualize his success. Well, guess what happened? Just before Thanksgiving, if you've heard the story, 1995, just before Thanksgiving, Jim Carrey found out that he was going to make $10 million doing Dumb and Dumber. Okay? So here's the takeaway. If you can see it, if you can believe it, if you can feel it, it's a lot easier to achieve it. My friends, get those goals into your playbook, because tomorrow I'm going to be back to start talking to you about creating forward movement towards the achievement of your goals. I'll see you then. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the extraordinary game of entrepreneurship and how to play it. And remember, gamers, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. So get out of your phone booth and go share your extraordinary with the world.